Mr. Manners, Mr. Boxing. You like my dressing gown?
I do. What is it? Give us a little explanation, actually.
Well, it's my Rocky dressing gown, isn't it? Every boxer goes around shadow boxing around house looking like a lunatic, so I don't bother. I've just got my son. My son brought me this for my birthday. You know what I mean? I thought, you know what, fair play. Nice Rocky dressing gown.
I like it.
So it just gives me a little.
I'm disappointed it didn't make a bubble appearance, actually.
I'm not bringing my dressing gown to the bubble. I thought I brought enough to the bubble.
Good stuff. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna leave that in. Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, MTK Global. Nick Manners joins me, the one and only Nick Manners. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, thank you very much. How are you, sir?
Very well, very well. Only really just recovered from what was a ridiculous week in the bubble, a ridiculous night of boxing. Just to top it off, just wanted to start by asking you, how is Josh? When was your last chat with him? How's his health? Is he all good?
Josh is fine. Josh is fine. I had half a chat with him, 2 minutes with him this morning. I spoke to him the morning after, we might call it the morning after the night before, but the morning after the fight, spoke to him, sound. Ego and pride a bit bruised in that, but you know what? He knows that he was in a fight, and the one thing about him is that regardless of what the result is, and we've had a lot of results that were the same, which is 30-0, but regardless of what the result, he always likes to be in an entertaining fight, a good fight. And in reality, we had to fight.
I want to start with queries around his preparation and how he was feeling, because it's easy to make a throwaway comment and say Josh didn't look himself, but you know that wasn't the case. Josh was feeling good, and it was basically all guns blazing, ready for fight night. There was no excuses. Josh, and preparation was perfect for you guys.
Preparation was fantastic. Everything went wrong. Everything went right, except for when it went wrong, and that's boxing. Simple as that. If you make a mistake, you're going to get messed up. Simple as that. And the mistake might have been that we engaged way too early, and that's not what. Listen, with all due respect and no disrespect, like I say, Sean is a very, very, very good tactician, and Sean didn't send Josh out there to fight like that. It just so happens that the fella in the other corner took advantage of a situation that I'm sure that he never thought that Josh would have flown at him like that. You know what I mean? And that little terrier there, let me say first and foremost, before anything's said, them two went in there as equal gladiators going to fight. Lara, we studied him, we watched him, and we knew that in reality, don't engage with him early. Don't engage with him early. Listen, the fella's a banger. You can see he's a banger. We'd watch fights. Like I say, everything went well in preparation. That first round finished it for us. The fight was done in the first round. And all I can turn around and say is that for us to know that from round one, it was like he was fighting in a fog, and he had 2 yards to go to get out of the fog, and then he'd be all right again. But he was just forever reaching for that clear air. And the thing is, give the kid credit. Just when we were thinking that we got him into clear air where he's going to, let's say, listen to us, be able to listen to us with the confidence of knowing that he's got all his faculties, his self under him. There's a different thing to listening when you're buzzed. If you listen when you're buzzed, you say, yeah. But as soon as you feel a bit of body contact, you resort to type and you go, you know what, I've got to fight. I've got to fight to survive, just to stay in here. I can't really do the tactics that I've been asked to do, because this kid's, when I say not allowing me, he's still within me. He's here. But this kid wasn't giving us the space, and Josh wasn't creating the space. It was a good fight. It was a good fight that we fucked up from day one. From round one, our game plan was gone. Because I'll say it straight. When fighters fight, I don't want to listen, let's keep this short and sweet. When fighters fight and they're in control of what's happening, that's the easiest thing to do. When you get buzzed, and if you've never been buzzed, you don't know. When you've got buzz, the chances are what you want to do is just revert to type and get yourself out of this situation so you clear your head. And what you usually do is you swing. You know what I mean? You swing and you try and fight your way out. And he tried his best. But the thing is, in fighting his way out, that was exactly the only chance that Lara had engaging. And you know what? You will hear Josh complain about it. You will hear Sean complain about it. You will hear me complain about it. Because like I say, when you get it right and you win, you get the pats on the back. When you get it right and it goes wrong, you know what? You'll still get a pat on the back from me because there's two people in there trying to contest.
I suppose the corner did face criticism, but that's with any fight that ends so brutally, it's gonna turn out that way. I want to move towards the referee actually, because you know if the corner gets it, the referee normally gets it as well. Howard Foster, experienced referee. Should the fight have been stopped? Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but should Josh have been stopped in the fourth?
No. At the end of the day, if the kid had been capable of being stopping, listen, at the end of the day, you've got to give, this is prize fighting. This is prize fighting. And let's forget about the glitz and the glamour and the sweet Caroline and this, that, and the other. This is about punches. It's about putting people away. God's willing, just for the 10 count, hope they're all right. At the end of the day, Josh, well, the fact that after the fourth, he went 5 more rounds tells you that he shouldn't have been stopped. Okay. At the end of the day, Josh is a fighter. He's a very proud fighter. He takes his job seriously. No disrespect to a lot of the other coaches out there. Know your fighter. I know for a fact, Sean knows for a fact that what Josh is about is he goes into that ring and says, you know what? I'm here to give it all. I'll give my best. And every time, the only time when he's never given his best, he's been so disappointed in his performances and beats himself up, but he gives his best, he gives his all. And if any of you guys out there are thinking of taking up boxing, understand it's a brutal sport, and that's what we're in. It's a prize fight. So don't think you're going to get too much sympathy from me, anybody, because you know something? There's punches given, there's punches taken, and punches aren't given or thrown with a weak intention. 9 out of 10, they're intended to make you sleep and drop. Somebody's going to get it. At the end of the day, I've got no problem with Howard Foster. If he'd have stopped the fight, I'd have probably been, I'd have gone with his decision. I'd have gone with his decision, but I wouldn't have been happy with it, because I'll tell you something, we go to a drop. Simple as that. That's it. I don't know about your city. I don't know about anybody else's city. I don't know about anybody else's boxers. I don't know. But Josh Warrington is a man who will fight to the finish. That's all I can say.
Nick, do you agree with the narrative that if the roles were reversed and Lara had, because we saw Josh sort of stumble back to his corner, if Lara was stumbling back to his corner, then the referee would have stopped it in reverse. Do you agree with that narrative at all?
Well, I don't know, because it never happened. I don't know. I can't say. I don't know. I don't think of it like that. I think of what happened. I don't think about he said, she said, would have been, could have been. I stay about deal with what it is, and top and bottom of it is, you know, something. We were all right. He was straggling back to the corner. We were trying to get him to get some kind of lucidity, some kind of clarity in his head. I won't say he wasn't there, but he wasn't there. And the thing is, he wasn't there, but for 10 seconds he'd get there and we go, right, just start again, because whatever happens, if you can clear your head and get the clarity, you can still win this fight. You know what I mean? You can still win this fight. If you clear your head, just clear your head, keep the fuck away from that little machine just for a second and clear your head, make him miss, find your boxing ability again, and you've got it. And he was doing that for every round. He'd show little bits, and then all of a sudden the kid would be like, just ping him with something. And that'd set it off that listen, combat, you got to fight again. And one thing I'll give Josh Warrington credit for, let me tell you something now. He said he's a warrior, and he did exactly what it said on the tin. If you're a fighter, and I don't want to be cruel, you better get ready to go, because it's not always guaranteed that you're going to come out of that boxing ring. You know what I mean? I'm not being sad about it. I'm just being right. You're not always guaranteed to come out of there. So train hard. Look at his training. His training kept him up. He was fighting on autopilot for 8 rounds. You know what I mean? His training kept him up. His stamina kept him up. And all we wanted was for the opportunity for him to clear his head for enough time just to reset. Let's start again, because you know something, your boxing ability is way more than this kid. The only thing that you're lacking with this kid is the fact that you're standing with him and trading with him when really and truly we'd love you not to, but we can understand why you are. Because at the end of the day, some of the times, if he hadn't have engaged and traded with that kid, the kid would have jumped on top of him. You know what I mean? I'm proud as punch of him. I'm so glad that he's all right. I'm proud as punch as him. He took his licks. He's not made no excuses. He's turned around and says, you know what? Let's go again.
Nick, just briefly, because I don't want to make the whole bulk of our chat.
Let's not make it too long. Yeah.
Safety. Something that may perhaps be released by the team, and this is all pending. I'm not going to delve into it too much, but yeah, I don't really know how to explain and begin this situation. Can you just sort of give us a little insight into what happened in the changing rooms beforehand when Mauricio and his team were getting their hands wrapped? And also just to note, this is no slight on Mauricio and team who were willing to comply.
I'll say it as it is. Listen, at the end of the day, that fight that took place on the weekend was fair and square. But a lot of the imports that are coming into this country, they fight under different rules in different places. And unfortunately, the bandages that initially that they wanted to use, I'm glad that I spotted it, because they wasn't trying to be underhand or anything like that. They were just doing what they usually do. And they've never boxed in the UK before. The way that they was wanting to wrap their hands is not UK standard. And I'll tell you something, I'll say it again. All you trainers and seconds who are fighting people who are coming from other countries, make sure that you send somebody in that room who knows their stuff, okay? Because it's not only the British Boxing Board of Control's responsibility to pick up on these things. It's your responsibility as the boxer's teammate to make sure you know your stuff, that anything that may be happening, you pick up on it. Because I'll tell you something, I'm not being funny, the difference between a hand that's stacked and a hand that's not.
Could Saturday night have been much different, and could Saturday night have been dangerous for Josh, and not just his career, but his life?
Yeah. And you bear in mind, Josh Warrington has got a fantastic chin, fantastic resilience against legal hands. I'll say no more. And that's not a slur at all on Lara or his team, because they were just doing what they do every other time. And you know what it is? They didn't do it this time. They didn't do it this time. Thankfully. Thankfully, myself and the board made sure that it didn't, that the hands were wrapped properly.
Right, well, like I said, I don't want to concentrate the bulk of chat on that, just sort of perhaps a warning towards other teams. And yeah, let's move on to the rematch clause. Eddie has said in an interview with Umar earlier, they'll exercise the contractual options for the rematch. And I suppose, although it's quick turnaround since Saturday night, that's probably music to your ears, Nick.
It is, to be fair. It's music to my ears from a training point of view, because God's willing, it gives us the opportunity to address a wrong. You know what I mean? But, you know, and address it I think that could be a fantastic fight if we get crowds. But what I will do is I'll turn around and do as I always do. I'll be right. This conversation, Oscar, is for Steve Woods, Sean O'Hagan, and Eddie Hearn. So I'll take my eloquent self out of that equation. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones who do the matches. We just try and win them.
Can I just ask you, like I said, they're going to sort all the financial and contractual things, but from a fight point of view, and perhaps from a fan's point of view, is this bigger than if Joshua was to have a unification in the summer? They were big fights, but now we've seen what Lara can do and what Lara done to Josh on Saturday night. Is this a bigger fight, in your opinion, Nick?
It's the more important fight. It's not necessarily a bigger fight, but it's a more important fight, because at the end of the day, it's one of them. Was it a fluke? Was it a fluke, or can we turn around and do what we say we can do? That's what we've got to do. It's about performing on the night. It's about performing on the night, and I personally believe that Josh has got the beating of him. I personally know we've got to beat him first to have his hands raised in victory, and that's what I always say. Don't start cheering until the bell's gone and you've won your fight.
Well, yeah, there's so much that had needed to be addressed perhaps about the corner, Josh's preparation and that. But look, just a final word. I mean, obviously, it was a sickening night for
Yep.
Josh, but like you said, warrior by name, and you know we'll be back. And I suppose when he writes his autobiography, this will just be another chapter.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Oh, listen, at the end of the day, we've had a fantastic ride and the journey's still continuing. It's a fantastic journey. You know what it is? Watch, it's like a little Rocky film. At the end of the day, we've had to come into these uncertain circumstances where usually we're fighting and we're hyped up and we're ready to fight, and then we've come into a cemetery to fight, and then be like tumbleweed, and we're like, hang on a minute, shall I cheer and try and get some atmosphere for you? But
Did that
no,
affect Josh?
listen,
Did
when
that
it
affect
comes
Josh
right
at all?
down to it, did it? Well, I wouldn't like to say so, because you know what? When it comes right down to it, a ring's a ring, a fight's a fight, and a circumstance is a circumstance. At the end of the day, it maybe helped Lara, you know what I mean, in knowing that the tables had sort of like been redressed when it comes to having that 11th man, because that 11th man can get your adrenaline pumping like no other. But you know what? We'll come again. We'll turn. Listen, at the end of the day, all we've done, and look at my face. I'm not disappointed. I haven't seen a shop-worn fighter coming into the end of his tether. What I've done, listen, you've seen more action in that fight than you'll probably see in many other fights, you know what I mean? And he's taken some and he's given some, and he wasn't that far away from bloody winning. You know what I mean? He wasn't that far away from winning. But at the same time, you know what? Let's take it for what it is. We'll come back stronger. We'll come back wiser. God's willing, we'll get the results that we need.